Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and happy first day of summer. I am so happy right now. I am so stoked for the summer season and it is finally here. You guys know that I'm a seasonal ass bitch, but I do get a little extra in the summertime because it's my favorite season of all time. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I lived there for 30 years, and so summer just comes naturally to me. I love the heat, I love the colors, I love the clothes, I love the beach, the weather. I just love everything that summer entails, including my summer reads. I love a good summer horror. Other than winter, summer is my favorite time to read. Summer campy horrors is just chef's kiss for me. Now I know that every time I come onto YouTube, I do a bunch of hauls and TBRs, and I'm so sorry about that. I promise that I have some videos coming up where I talk about books that I have actually read. Listen, I'm good at two things when it comes to books. I'm good at creating TBRs and I'm good at shopping books. Reading my TBRs and reading the books that I buy, completely different. So I'm just doing what I'm good at. You know what I mean? But without further ado, let's talk about the books that I would love to get to this summer season of 2023. I have 22 books to talk about. 4 of them though have already been started last year. And like I mentioned earlier, I am a seasonal ass bitch. And so whenever a season comes to an end, if I'm still reading a book and that book feels very seasonally, I leave it for the following year. I know it's kind of like ridiculous, but it's just the way I work. And so I have 4 rollover books to chat about. So we're gonna start there, and then I have everything else separated into genres. I have horror, which is the most books in the stack. I have 1 romance, 2 cozy mysteries, and 4 thrillers, I believe, give or take. We're going to start off with the books that I have already started last year that I would love to finish this year. The first book is Island by Richard Lehman. You guys will see me talking about this book in a vlog that's coming up at some point. It's a weekly vlog, and I try to read this book. You will see that I am encountering problems with this book, even though I am liking it. One thing that I find with Lehman's books are that they're really, really slow. And you guys will say, well, you read Stephen King, and yes, Stephen King is slow, but I feel like Lehman is a little slower than King. Where Lehman shines for me is in the gory and in the brutality of his stories, to where Stephen King really isn't like that. But his stories are slow, but I find these much slower. And especially with this one where we're following a 19-year-old kid. I'm hoping to finish this one. I have 100 pages left for this, and I'm struggling because it's taking me forever. And I usually don't have a problem when a book takes me a year or whatever. I have to pick it up the following season or whatever it is. But this one is really slow. If it wasn't that I am super curious to see how it ends, I would have DNF'd it already. But I am enjoying the plot line and stuff. It's just, it's taking a little long to get where it needs to get to. Brian Keene's Pressure is another book that I started last year. Now this one I only got to the 50-page mark, so very early on into the book yet still, but it's a fairly short book, so I feel like I could finish it quickly, and I liked where it was going. Again, I don't know much about it because I went into this book blind, and 2, I'm only 50 pages in, so there's only so much. All I know is that there's like this professional scuba diver, and she's the best of the best, but I don't know what else continues after that, and I can't remember. This one is one that I'm gonna have to start over again, but I need to make my way through Brian Keene's books, and this one's the next one. Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter, another one that I started last year. I was really enjoying this one. I only got to the 80-page mark, 88 to be exact. I was really, really loving this one, and I don't know why I stopped reading it. It's not really a summer book. I get summer vibes from it, but I don't know why I stopped reading it. I love Alan Baxter. Alan Baxter is the author that made me fall in love with short stories. He, in my opinion, has some of the best short stories, and usually when I read a collection from him, I tend to end up liking more, like a lot more than I dislike. And so I love his writing, and I'm super curious to see where he goes with this. This is just a little quick overview. It's, I believe, these 2 girls go missing, and then this town gets together to look for them. But it says something old and deadly has awoken. And I love the cover to this one so much. And then the last and final book that I want to get to that I already started in the past is actually a novella collection. It is Different Seasons by Stephen King. Now, I had a little project with this book. I started reading this about 2 or 3, I believe it was 3 years ago. I read the story in the fall season, which was The Body. And I actually read it in the summertime because my friend Ashley was having a read along for it in the summertime. But once I ended up getting the book and getting the short story to The Body, and I saw how the book was formatted, I went into this project of mine that I wanted to read each story in their perspective season. Obviously, different season, and each novella is pertains to a specific season. Wow, I had a hard time getting that out. I've already read the spring one. I actually read it this past spring, loved it. I read the fall one, obviously, The Body. I mean, come on, amazing, amazing story. And then I read the winter one as well, which I absolutely loved too. And so I'm hopeful for the summer story, which is Apt Pupil. I actually own that short story or that novella on its own, but I just love this print so much, or this copy of the collections so much, that I'm going to read it through here. So it's Summer of Corruption and the story is Apt Pupil. So excited to get to this. So now on to the brand new books. Not brand new in the sense of that they're new releases. I only have 4 new releases and the rest are back titles. And we're going to talk about these in genre order. So let's jump in. I'm gonna get the romance one out of the way because it's the one and only romance novel that I have on my TBR. This doesn't necessarily mean that this is the only romance that I want to read. I usually tend to like romances in the summertime more than the rest of the year. But the one that I want to read is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This is a romance, right? Like, yeah, it's a romance. I don't know anything about this. I just really loved the title and I love like his half sleeve here. Anyways, I want to read this. I want to go in blind, but it is my only romance novel on my TBR. Now, some cozy mysteries. I have 2 of them. The first one is Deadly Summer Nights. I wanted to read this one last year, never got around to it. Managing the chaos of the Catskills Resort is difficult enough, but when a guest is found murdered, a young widow will need to investigate before a planned summer of fun is ruled dead on arrival. And I believe, oh, this takes place in the summer of 1953. Ah, this sounds so good. I love the cover so much. And then the next cozy mystery that I would love to read is Smile Beach Murder by Alicia Bessette. Sorry, I don't know that name. This has to do with this murder at this lighthouse, and I think the anniversary is coming up, and I'm not sure if the daughter goes back to this town where her mom's murder happened, or her death happened, better yet. So really excited for this one. Just like Deadly Summer Nights, I bought this one last year and just couldn't get to it. This cover though, with the house on the cover, I love a good house on the cover, and this one just ticks off all the likes on a cover for me. The colors, we have a lighthouse as well, not just an ordinary house. Like, sign me up. And it's at like one of my favorite places, the beach, and I haven't been to the beach in a really long time, but super excited to read this one. And now on to the thriller stack. These are the thrillers that I want to read this summer season. Starting off with The Swell by Ali Reynolds. I've never read anything by this author. This cover really called my attention, and so I bought it. I believe this has to do with a girl. She's a surfer, and one day her boyfriend drowns as they're surfing, so she ends up putting away her surfboard and just never goes surfing again until her best friend, I believe, gets engaged to a surfer guy. I don't know if she's getting married in Australia or they're just traveling to Australia, but somehow they end up in Australia, and she ends up meeting the guy that her best friend is engaged to, and the group of surfers. It says here, and meeting the reclusive group who will do anything to keep their surf spot a secret. They get dangerous and things like that. So I'm excited to read this one. I also want to read The Safe Place by Anna Downs. No phones, no outsiders, no escape. I believe we're following a girl that takes on a job as a housekeeper. She actually falls in love with the family that she is working for, and obviously there's lies and secrets behind the family, and I'm excited to see where this one goes. Of course, I got to read the new Megan Miranda. I love Megan Miranda. She's an auto buy, an auto read. I love all her stuff. The Only Survivors. First off, this cover, the color scheme in this is just chef's kiss. I don't know what this book is about because I go into Miranda's books super blind, and so I want to keep it that way. But again, we have this beautiful like beachy house on the cover here, and I'm all about it. Even if it wasn't a Megan Miranda book, just because it has a house on the cover, I would have wanted to read it. So there we go. And then the last one on the thriller genre section is The Puzzle Master by Danielle Trussoni. I read The Ancestor by her a couple years ago. And so when I saw that she had a new book out, I was excited for it. This says, reality and the supernatural collide when an expert puzzle maker is thrust into an ancient mystery, one with explosive consequences for the fate of humanity. In this suspenseful thriller from the New York Times best-selling author of Angelology. I did not read Angelology. I did read The Ancestors though. Which one's Angelology? I need to check that book out. But super excited to read this one. It just sounds so good. I love puzzles. Like, I'm obsessed with puzzles, and so this title really hooked me. And last but not least, my very beloved horror genre. It's the one with the most books in it, because as it should be, I love me some horror. You guys know that. There's 11 books. Out of the 11, 9 are adult reads. So we're gonna start off with the middle grade, which is Wretched Water Park by Kirsten White. I bought this, was it last year or the year before that? Didn't get to read it. I think it was last year because I think it released last year. But this is book 1 of Sinister Summer. I was dying to read this one last year. I almost read it out of season. I know, the chaos. But I think this is one of the first books that I'm gonna read for this summer season. And so really looking forward to it. If you've read this one, let me know. I somewhat find that White's books are very hit or miss for me, and so I'm hoping that this one is a hit because summer. And then the only YA book that I have on this TBR, this is one of my most anticipated reads for this year, and it is The Lake House, actually for this summer, by Sarah Beth Durst. This would be the second Durst book that I read. The first one was, I can't remember the name, but it was that was my dog because my husband just got home. I don't know if you guys heard him, because my husband just got home and he went like squealing. Do you hear him? My poor baby. I want to say it was like 5 years ago that I read that book by her. It was a fantasy book that I really, really loved. But I'm excited to see what this one is all about. And I mean, this cover is what hooked me. The title double hooked me. The colors triple hooked me. Everything about this this book, this printing really hooked me. So I'm so eager to read this one. I know a bookstagrammer that read this. She actually had a review copy of it and she's raving about it, and she just like made me want the book even more. 2 extreme horror novels that I am dying to read. These 2 extreme horror books have been on several summer TBRs. I really need to get to them this year. I read a lot of extreme horror. I love extreme horror, but it takes me a while to build the courage to pick up an extreme horror book. I don't know why that is. When I know I'm going to read just extreme of extreme, it's like I freeze and I don't want to jump in. Which every time I jump into an extreme horror book, I'm like, okay, this wasn't that bad. The only one that I did not feel that way about was Dead Inside. Oh my gosh. I think that is the worst book, the most disgusting book, the most unnecessary book that I have ever read. And that's the only one really that I've had such an adverse reaction to. But any other one, I'm just like, why was I so hesitant or so like, I don't know, about going into it, because it really was not that bad. But anyways, back to the books. Dog Days of Summer. Oh, Summer. Dog Days of Summer by James Newman and Mark Allen Gunnels. And also The Summer That I Died by Ryan C. Thomas. These two books haunt me summer after summer. So it's time to read them. I don't know what these are about. I have not read the synopsis. I know that McKay, I believe, raves about this book. And I just haven't read them yet. So just like Wretched Water Park, these two are a must, and I believe it's what I'm gonna start my summer season with. After Wretched Water Park, I will read one of these, and then you get the gist. And now on to the last little stack of just regular horror, just regular, you know, chill horror. I don't know, it's stupid. I have a few mass market paperbacks that I want to get through. Summer of Fear by Lewis Duncan. Somebody on Bookstagram is having a read along for this book this summer, and I mean, come on, Summer of Fear, that title, it's mass market paperback. Like, this just has Marcella written all over it. So hopefully you can see that cool ass cover. I want to continue Night Songs, and the reason why I didn't add this one onto the other pile of started books is because I literally read 5 pages. So I'm not counting it, I'm restarting it. By Charles L. Grant. I've heard nothing but great things about this. It says, terror has no name, death has no reason, until vengeance howls murder. So super cool cover here as well. I definitely want to get to Meg the Trench. This is the second book in the Meg series. I read the first book last summer and obsessively fell in love with it. The Meg is one of my all-time favorite shark movies and summer movies. I watch it every single year, and I did not know that it had a book. The movie is loosely based on the books, and so I was eager to read the books. And in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna love this book more than I love the movie, but I did. Now, it did not take away, I'm not like, oh, I love the book now and I hate the movie. No, I love the movie just as much. It's just now that I have a companion to that movie. And like I said, it's very loosely based. It's, we follow the same shark, obviously, and there's certain aspects and characters that are the same, but the storyline for the most part is different. But the same at the same time. I don't know, it sounds weird. So excited to read this one. If I get to this one on time and I have any time left after all these books on my TBR, I want to get to the third one, which is Primal Waters. And I love shark stuff in the summer. When Shark Week comes, my husband got me into Shark Week because he is like obsessed with sharks and with Shark Week on whatever channel it is. And I didn't even know that that was a thing. And now I can't get enough. And that's all for the mass market paperbacks. I know I said I had 4, but I just realized that one of the books, even though it's called The Island, it actually takes place in winter. So we're just gonna put that one aside, and we are going to make pretend that I did not see it. Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. Jeez, this is another book that has been on so many summer TBRs. And I need to finally read it because I've heard great things about this. My friends love it, and I love a good slasher, campy slasher in the summertime, so I'm hoping that this gives that to me. How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. It's just been on my TBR since last month or whenever it released, and I really want to get to it. Grady Hendrix is hit or miss for me. The only book that wowed me of his was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It was the first book that I read of his, and so far it's the only one, like I said, that has gotten 5 stars. My Best Friend's Exorcism, I really enjoyed. It was okay, it was good. For me, it was forgettable. I still haven't even watched the movie. And then Final Girl, what was that? Whatever Final Girl one that he read, I really did not like that one. And I still have to read Horror Store, and I still have to read We Sold Our Souls, I believe it is. And I think I'm missing one, but I'm hopeful for this one. I don't know how it's gonna go. I've heard great things, and then I've heard not so great things, which usually is how it is for his books. But either way, I'm eager. I don't know much about this other than there's a puppet in here, maybe. So, and that's all I want to know. I don't want to know much else. But I did hear that one complaint was that People are expecting more of a comedy in this, and it really wasn't, because his books tend to have comedy in them, but they didn't get so much of that here. So that is my summer TBR. I am sure that there's a gazillion books behind me that I would love to read in summer. But these are just the ones that really stood out to me, that have either been on previous TBRs and they just keep yelling out at me, or just books that really, as I was scanning to create my TBR, just, you know, they reached out to me and I grabbed them. So my summer TBR, let me know if you've read any of these, or if you have any of these on your summer TBR. Let's chat books in the comment section down below. As usual, all of these books will be linked down below. They are affiliate links. If I can find it, it is linked. So that is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.